Welcome to Big B Daily. No frauds allowed.
What is going on? What's going on, man? Welcome to Big B Daily Show. Again, this is Brian Hanley, man. I appreciate y'all joining in. What's going on with you today? Big weekend of football, college and pro football, man. Big weekend. But as always, man, we are live on TikTok. We are live on YouTube. Thank you guys for joining in, man. I appreciate y'all joining the show today. Got a lot to get to, cover a lot of things. Again, the engagement has been wonderful. I can't thank you guys enough. Everybody that's on TikTok, again, man, just give me a follow when you get an opportunity. I appreciate it. But then swing on over to YouTube, man. Go subscribe to the channel over on YouTube. That chat is crazy. The interaction is insane. I love it. Again, thank you guys, man. Appreciate it. Again, as always, go check out my man over on YouTube for all your fantasy football needs, man. Hot Soup Fantasy Football. Go subscribe to his page. He's going to start coming on the Daily Show here every Wednesday. Every Wednesday. Talking all fantasy football stuff, man. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's get after it. So first thing, let's talk Trayvon Diggs and the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Cowboys, that hurts the Cowboys. That hurts the Cowboys. I still believe that the Cowboys are super deep in the secondary. Now, Diggs is better than anybody, clearly, than that they have back there. So there's going to be a little bit of a drop. There's going to be a drop-off. Let's not just say a little bit of a drop-off. There's going to be a drop-off without Diggs. However, I think their D-line, the kind of pressure they can put on a quarterback, and what they do have to replace them is still going to be good enough for them to be a really, really good football team. Still going to be good enough for them to have a really good football team. Best in the league? I don't think so anymore, though. I don't think so anymore. I think their defense is what made them the best. So we'll see. We'll see. And you're right. It is early. It's still early. But early on, just from what I've seen from everybody, because the best three teams in the league, in my opinion, were the Cowboys, 49ers, and the Dolphins. I think the Cowboys slipped to third now without Diggs, and it's 49ers, Dolphins, Cowboys. But again, it's early. It's early. So, but I think the Cowboys take a little bit of hit. You hate seeing the injury at any time, especially in practice. It stinks. But yeah, terrible. Terrible. So let's move on. Jonathan Taylor. I mean, we haven't heard anything about this in the last couple of weeks. This 4-game suspension is coming up at the end of next week's game. So then what? Then what are we doing? What are the Colts doing? I mean, Irsay, who is a bottom 5 owner, basically we know what he said. He said he didn't want him. He doesn't want him at all. So doesn't care if he's on the football team or not. Oh my goodness. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. So we'll see what happens with all of that, man. I'm interested because after next week's game, he's going to be back, supposedly. And what are the Colts going to do? Are they going to welcome him back? Are they going to say trade him? Because you've heard no talks of a trade. None. No talks whatsoever. It's coming to a head. I'm interested to see. I don't know. I like Jonathan Taylor. I think he played himself a little bit personally. I get that he wants a new deal. I understand all that, but I don't know. Irsay is a joke of an owner. So It's bad. It's bad. Again, man, thank you guys. I appreciate everybody that's on Big B Daily Show today, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Central Time. Today, big day. We're about to go over it. But everybody, again, that's on TikTok, man, give me a follow. And then shoot on over to YouTube. Join the chat over on YouTube, man. The chat gets wild over on YouTube. Interact over there. Put your question or your comment up on the screen. Give you a shout out. We have a ton of fun over there, man. Ton of fun. So lastly here, as far as the topics are concerned, let's talk football now. Let's talk football. Let's go. What are we talking about tomorrow? Let's get into it. College football. Big weekend for college football, man. Big weekend for college football. So let's just get to one of the main games first. Colorado versus Oregon. Look, there are so many people that want to see Colorado / Coach Prime lose. I am not one of those people. I want to see them win. I love how he's changing the game of college football, how it's done based on the rules that are in place. I love it. However, tomorrow they're going to lose. Tomorrow they are going to lose. Now, the spread is 21. I took Colorado the first week plus 20.5 against TCU. I like Colorado again plus 21 versus Oregon. But they're not going to win. So I want Colorado to win the game, but they're not going to win the game. But I like Colorado to cover for sure. Next up, Florida State versus Clemson. Look, if Florida State wants to take the ACC back, this is their opportunity. Clemson's down. Florida State is up. I know the game's at Clemson, and I know Florida State sleptwalked last week through a game. I like Florida State minus the 2.5. I think they get after Clemson early, take them to the woodshed. Clemson's not any good. I like Florida State. UCLA is a ranked game between two ranked teams. UCLA at Utah. It looks like Cam Rising is back for Utah. I like Utah -6. I think they're going to be way more physical than UCLA. I like Utah -6. A lot of people have been emailing and texting about this game. Ole Miss at Alabama. Alabama looks like they're down. They don't know who their quarterback's going to be. In turmoil. Man, I like Alabama -6.5. I think Alabama just runs the football and runs right over Ole Miss. I think they run right over Ole Miss. I don't think there's anything Ole Miss is going to be able to do to stop it. I think they just line up and run the ball 45 times, and Ole Miss can't do nothing. So that's what I believe. I believe Alabama gets back to what they do best, running the football, and Ole Miss can't stop it. Intriguing game, Oregon State versus Washington State. Again, two ranked teams out west. Teams that are getting left out of the Power 5 next year. I like Oregon State in this game. I think they'll be too physical for Washington State. -3, I like it. Give me Oregon State -3. So, and then the big one, I think this is the best game of the day, Ohio State and Notre Dame. Ohio State at Notre Dame. Ohio State is favored by 3 points. I'm still not sold on Ohio State. It's quarterback play. I don't like their quarterback play. I'm not sold on it. Give me Notre Dame +3 at home. I like Notre Dame. I think they're better. Now, neither team has played anybody. That's the one thing to keep in mind. Neither team has played anybody that's any good. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. But I like what Notre Dame's looks like on offense. Sam Hartman is so much better of a quarterback than anything that Notre Dame had last year. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. So that's the slate. There's a lot more college games, but we can get into that if anybody in the Q&A section here in a minute. If you've got an offset or something, we can talk about some of those games later. Let's look at some of these NFL games. Let's look at some of these NFL games. So first off, Bears, Chiefs. It's Chiefs minus 12.5. I think the Chiefs blow them out. Too much turmoil going on with the Bears. The Bears are a lousy franchise anyway. I think this one gets ugly early. Chiefs haven't had a breakout game offensively. Their defense is very good. I think the Chiefs blow them out. Steelers, Raiders. I'm a homer. You guys know that. Y'all know it. Steelers plus 2.5. They go to Las Vegas and win the game. Jimmy G. Somebody on TikTok's talking about Jimmy G. Give me a break. Porn star Jimmy ain't ready for what the Steelers have coming for him. Their offensive line is Swiss cheese. The Steelers' D-line is really good. Give me the Steelers plus 2.5. Real good game. Titans at Browns. I like the Titans plus 3.5. Now, look, I know they got basket case Tannehill as the quarterback. I understand. I just like what they do defensively. I think they have a better head coach. I like the Titans. Give me the Titans and what they bring, going on the road, getting a big win, plus 3.5 over the Browns. Somebody said Browns win by 12. Boy, a lot of crazy talk today on TikTok. Falcons at Lions, really good game. I told y'all the Falcons are going to fight for that division. I don't think they're going to win it, but they're going to fight, but they're not going to win this game. They're not going to win it. Give me the Lions minus 3. I think the Lions have a big bounce back game. So, next we got the Saints at the Packers. I haven't liked the Packers. I've been against the Packers the first 2 weeks. Give me the Packers at home minus 1. I think the Saints, I don't know, man. I just don't know. I thought the Saints could blow out the Panthers this past weekend. They couldn't do it. And I'm just not sure about the Saints, man. Just not sure. What do we got next? Broncos go to Miami. Miami, I think, it's minus 6.5. Give me the Dolphins. The Broncos and Russell Wilson are just terrible. What happened? I don't know. Russ ain't cooking. He ain't cooking at all. It's ugly. Next, we got the Chargers and the Vikings. Now, this is one of those games, man. Whoever loses this game is not, in my opinion, ain't making the playoffs. And also, I think the Chargers head coach, Brandon Staley, if they lose, he gets fired. If the Chargers go 0-3, I think Staley gets fired. Because the Chargers are supposed to be better. And they're not. But I like the Chargers to win. Plus 1. It's on the road. It's going to be a high-scoring game. But give me the Chargers. I mean, if the Chargers have any fight, they got to win this game, don't they? They got to win this game. So, it's funny. I don't know. The Chargers, I like the Chargers in this one. Pats at Jets. A lot of people like the Pats. I like the Jets. Jets plus 2.5 at home. Give me the Jets over the Pats. The Jets got to make some sort of stand, don't they? They got to make some sort of stand. So, it's going to be a tough game. but just give me the Jets. I don't even know why, to be honest. I just think the Jets got to make a stand. They got to make a stand. I mean, Wilson, whew, if Zach Wilson is really that bad, we'll see this week. Bills and Commanders. I like the Commanders +6. Now, hear me out. I think the Bills will win the football game. I think the Bills will win the football game, but I think the Commanders are going to cover. I think the Commanders are going to cover. So it's +6 for Commanders. Like I said, I think the Commanders cover, but I think the Bills actually win the football game. A lot of people on TikTok are saying Bills money line. Yeah, that's not awful. That's not awful at all. Not awful at all. What's next? Texans at Jags. I think the Jags bounce back and blow out the Texans. -8 at home. I think the Jags blow them out. I think the Jags blow them out. Big game. Big game. Next, Ravens do the same thing to the Colts. The Colts are in shambles. We talked about that earlier. Quarterback's already out. They fought the first couple of weeks, but I don't think they got anything for the Ravens. -8, I think the Ravens take them behind the woodshed. I think the Ravens take them behind the woodshed. Now, Panthers at Seahawks. Look, Andy Dalton's going to be the starter. I mean, Dalton wasn't horrible last year, but he was Andy Dalton. I think the Seahawks are really good. I think they had a bad week 1. Bounce back last week on the road. -5 at home. They cover for sure. I like the Seahawks -5.5. I like the Seahawks -5.5. And then lastly, Cowboys and the Cardinals. Look, and I guess that's not lastly. We still got one more after that, the Bengals and Rams. But Cowboys and Cardinals is 12.5. It's a ton of points. But I think the Cowboys cover. I think the Cowboys beat because the Cardinals roster is terrible. Let's just say it what it is. Their roster is terrible. I think Dak actually has a good game. I think Dak has a big game. 12.5 points is a lot for NFL, but I think they do it. Cowboys cover. I like the Cowboys -12.5. And then the Bengals and the Rams. The Bengals got to have this game, don't they? I mean, we were talking about it over on TikTok earlier. The Bengals have to win, don't they? We don't know if Burrow's playing yet. He's hurt. But if you go 0-3, it's not that you can't make the playoffs, but you know how much more difficult it becomes? And the Rams look good. I like the Rams. Give me the Rams. Yeah. Sorry, give me the Rams. And then the Eagles and the Bucks. And I don't know how I forgot that game, but I like the Eagles. Give me the Eagles. I think the Eagles they started slow. And look, the Bucks defense looks like it's decent. It looks like it's decent, but I think the Eagles start to get it in gear. I think the Eagles start to get it in gear. And I think the Eagles win that one. So I think the Eagles win that one. So those are Big B bets. Again, we do it every Friday here on Big B Daily Show. Picking all the NFL games, the big college games, man. Thank y'all for the interaction. So again, man, everybody on TikTok, if you're in, give me a follow, man. And then jump on over. Jump on over to YouTube. Follow Big B Sports Talk over there. Join the Big B Daily Show. Join the chat, man. It's good stuff. Got to get some crazo out of here on TikTok. Sorry about that. All right. Let's open it up. Let's open it up. Let's talk some football. Let's have a little bit of fun today, man, on the chat. Let's start out over here on YouTube. Do-do-do-do. Blake Babcock over here. Do you think Pittsburgh will trade for Taylor? No. No, the Steelers aren't trading for Taylor. And if they do, I'm going to scream. I mean, the running back situation is not the problem in Pittsburgh. The running back situation is not the problem in Pittsburgh. The Matt Canada, Kenny Pickett, and that offensive line. Those are the problems in Pittsburgh. In that order. Canada, Pickett, O-line. And if we're being honest, last game, it wasn't even Canada. It was Kenny Pickett that was the problem. People want to beat up on Canada, and I do too. Don't get me wrong. He's terrible as an offensive coordinator. But there were, if you go back and look at the all-22, there were plays that were there to be made. Kenny Pickett just didn't make them. And the offensive line kept missing assignments on outside zone plays, couldn't block guys. It was terrible. Terrible. So, I'm a Ohio State fan, but I think Notre Dame will beat us. I think Notre Dame's going to beat you too. I think Notre Dame is going to beat you too. I like it. Love the glasses. I appreciate it, man. Y'all always make fun of me about my glasses, and they're too small. My head's too big, but you know what? I'm going to wear them no matter what. I'm going to wear them no matter what. So, I got the Packers over the Saints, by the way, over here on TikTok, because I think the Packers are better. I'm not sold on the Saints. I haven't seen anything from them that tells me that they're good. I've seen some stuff from the Packers that say they're pretty good. So, and if Staley gets fired, that's a good question. If Staley gets fired, who takes over, man? I don't know. What's up, Big G? I don't know. Texas A&M or Auburn? I think Texas A&M is better than Auburn because I don't think Auburn's any good. I don't think Auburn can score enough points. And everybody's going to point to the two games that they scored a bunch of points in. It was against bums. Auburn, if they played one Power 5 team, they struggled against Cal, who stinks. I don't think Auburn can score enough points. And yes, Colorado is going to cover this weekend. They're not going to win, but they're going to cover. Over here on YouTube, my man, Coach K. Stokes. Big B, I got Alabama losing at home versus Ole Miss in Bryant-Denny Stadium. No. I think Alabama gets back at it. I think Alabama runs the football downhill and runs over Ole Miss. They put a quarterback in place that's competent. I have no idea. Well, I kind of got an idea what Nick Saban was doing, predicating to his fan base because they were all mad at Milroe. Put out the other two quarterbacks last week to show them Milroe is better. So now Milroe comes back. They're going to get back to a run game, and they're going to run over Ole Miss. That's what I believe. They're going to run over Ole Miss. Dakota Billings, what's going on, man? About to throw on your Washington State gear and head to Aggieville tonight. Man, you're not going to be happy with me, Dakota. I like Oregon State. I like Oregon State to win. Oregon State, I think, is more physical. Their offense and defensive lines are more physical than what Washington State. I think it's going to be a really good football game, though. It's going to be a really good football game. But unfortunately, I got Washington. And wear that stuff in Aggieville tonight in Manhattan. Wear that stuff. They'll be good. It's good. I'm just saying, Aggieville's crazy. Now, look, since I've hung out there, it's been 25 years. But Aggieville, Manhattan, Kansas is wild. It's just wild. But you'll be all right with that stuff on, brother. You'll be all right. What do we got over here on TikTok? Thoughts on Jimbo Fisher? In your opinion, he needs to go? I mean, if they're going to pay all that money to get rid of him, it is what it is. It is what it is. I don't think he's any good. I think the game is past. I think his offense is gone. That's why they brought in Bobby Petrino, and their offense has been better. So hopefully he can just stay in that type of a role, a CEO type of a role. And I think he knew his offense was stale. So good vibes from Alabama. What's going on, my man? Was that Trey over here on TikTok? What's happening? Kevin Sumlin had a better record than Jimbo. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. But Kevin Sumlin didn't have a crazy buyout like Jimbo. Easier to buy that kind of contract out when they didn't want him anymore. You know what I mean? How much is Travis Hunter going to affect Colorado? A ton. It's going to affect them a ton. Because Colorado needs Travis Hunter on both sides of the ball to be good. Look, that's the whole thing. I've said it from the very beginning. Colorado is good. They have a good 8 to 12 football players. Really good. But they don't have a good 22, and they especially don't have a good 44. So attrition has kicked in. It's a problem. It's a problem. They just don't have the depth, the quality depth right now. And you knew that was going to be the case. You knew that was going to be the case. They just don't have the quality depth to go compete right this second. And it's going to catch up to them this weekend. Colorado is going to cover, but they're going to get beat. They're going to get beat. So, and you're somebody over here on TikTok saying that Colorado's going to get exposed because they can't stop the run. You're 1,000% correct. You are 1,000% correct. They can't stop the run. Oregon is going to just line up and physically whip them. Just line up and physically whip them. That's what I would do. Now, they may not do that, but that's what I would do. Over here on YouTube, my man Coach K. Lots of great ranked teams competing against each other. Most exciting game for me is Notre Dame, Ohio State. Notre Dame, Ohio State. I think Notre Dame beats them. I think Notre Dame beats them. I don't think Ohio State is as strong this year. They got them ranked really high. Their quarterback plays not anything to write home about. I think Notre Dame beats them. So somebody keeps saying M-I-Z in my chat. Okay, M-I-Z. You beat K-State last weekend. I get it, man. Rub it in. I get it. Now give me a like and then come join the live over on YouTube, brother. Oh, here's a good question over here on TikTok. If Clemson loses at the beginning of the end for Dabo, I think it was before that. I mean, you see what Clemson is. They don't have the same kind of talent that they used to have. They don't have the same kind of talent that they used to have. It's obvious. But that's the transfer portal. That is what the transfer portal has done. All these teams out there that before had a plethora of 5 stars, had tons of 4 stars, they don't have all those 4-star guys sitting behind them anymore. Guys want to go play. They don't want to sit on the bench for 2 or 3 years. That's what the transfer portal has done. It's starting to even the playing field. And Clemson doesn't play in the transfer portal. They don't deal with it. Okay, don't deal with it. You're going to get passed by. And I think we're starting to see that. We're starting to see that. When Canada gets fired, who do you want to see as the O coordinator? I mean, first of all, I thought they should have brought in a Byron Leftwich type this past year, but they didn't. I say bring him in. They're not going to bring him in during the season. So if they fire him during the season, that's not going to happen. But if they do it at the end of the year, that's who I'd like to see. But hell, who knows if Tomlin's even going to be around? Who knows? Who knows? Let's go to my man Quiggle over here on YouTube. Take the over on all Chargers games. They score 25 plus and give up 25 plus. That's not a horrible take, man. That's not a horrible take. The Chargers and Brandon Staley's supposed to be a defensive guy. They got defensive guys on their team. The scheme, I don't know. I just don't know. I know they can't stop the run. That's part of the problem. But man, they can't figure it out. They can't. I mean, Justin Herbert is the new Dan Fouts. A lot of stats, can't win. Doesn't have a good enough defense to just help him. Just help him. And I'm a guy that says, hey, man, Justin Herbert, you got to go win some games by yourself. But he's got to have a little help from his defense. He doesn't have it. So, takes on the Panthers are going to get beat week 3, man. They're going to get their head beaten in with Andy Dalton. So, Herbert's not going to get traded. They just paid him $200+ million. So that's not going to happen. Do you think Dion will play Cormani this weekend? He needs DB help. Yeah. Bo Nix hasn't been sacked this year. His O-line is all NFL guys. That's what I'm saying. They're just going to run the ball right down their throat. They're going to do whatever they want to Colorado's defense. But Dion is saying Cromartie can't play. That's what he's saying. I think he's got to throw him out there and give him a chance, though. I think he's got to throw him out there and give him a chance. Because I think the guy is wanting to be the best corner out there and isn't listening and wanting to do his own thing. He's gotten burned a few times. Now he's behind people that he's probably better than. Now he got humbled. Now this is his opportunity to say, okay, you're right. I got to do it your way. Let's see what happens. Because otherwise, I don't see him getting on the field. Uh-oh. I'm a Lane Kiffin fan. Ole Miss upsets Alabama? Just kidding. Yeah, no. I think Alabama beats them. Unfortunately, again, I think Alabama beats them. Question here. Burrow gets paid, and now the Bengals are the Bengals again. Joe Burrow is just hurt. It wasn't because he got paid. Not this time. He's hurt. Or is it this time? What do y'all think? Y'all think Joe Burrow got paid and now the Bengals are just going to stink? Or do you think that he's hurt? I'm leaning towards the guy's just hurt. He's hurt. So I think it's just he just got hurt. Cowboys should be a little worried, about Trayvon Diggs. You should be a little worried about Trayvon Diggs. But I think the Cowboys are still really good, man. I think the Cowboys are still a really good football team. Hey, on TikTok, we're looking for at least 3,500 likes, man. Keep tapping that screen. Looking for 30 follows. We need about 15 more. Actually, we need 18 more. 18 more. So if you're in there, give me a follow. Where we at over here? My man, Matt Hasselbring. I like what Colorado has done thus far, but Oregon slaps them. Knicks will light up Colorado's lack of D and get the cover. Man, I don't know. 21? You think they blow them out? What do y'all think, man? Y'all think Oregon just blows out Colorado? Do y'all think they smack them around? If anything, I think they might be ahead by 24 late in the game and Colorado gets a BS touchdown late that doesn't mean anything. Because I don't necessarily think the game's going to be that close. I think Oregon is just that much better. But we're going to see. Because the one thing that I do know, if Oregon has the opportunity to run the score up, they're going to do it. They're going to do it to prove a point. They're going to do it. So we'll see. We will see. Is Brock Purdy the real deal? Yeah. But he's also got a really good team around him. So, I mean, you can't knock what he's done. You just can't. You cannot knock what the guy's done so far. He's crushed it. He's crushed it. So, LSU is still a fraud, in my opinion, man. LSU is still a fraud. Till I see them beat somebody any good, LSU, fraud. LSU, fraud. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. After that shellacking from Florida State, I don't want to hear it. Get out of here with that. People love LSU. Not this year. Frauds. Is Michigan overrated? I don't know if Michigan's overrated or not, but they haven't played a soul. And that's the only problem with some of these teams, like Georgia and Michigan. Oh, now Ohio State's going to play somebody this weekend, but they've played nobody. Nobody. So I don't know if Michigan's good or not. We don't know if Michigan's good or not, man. We'll see. We'll see. What do we got here? My man, Aaron Shoot. What's going on, Aaron? Or Austin. I apologize. Austin Shoot. You missed the betting portion, but Packers -2. I got Packers at -1 in their home opener. I got them at -1, and I like the Packers. I like the Packers this week. I'm just not sold on the Saints. I haven't seen anything that says, yeah, the Saints are a pretty good team. I've seen some stuff that tells me the Packers are a pretty good team. I like the Packers, man, this weekend. I like the Packers this weekend. What else do we got, man? What else do we got? Big B, how will the Browns replace Nick Chubb? Well, Blake, I think they already did. I mean, I think Kareem Hunt is going to get more carries and more touches, maybe not this week, but in the weeks to come. I think he's going to get more carries and touches than what people realize. I think he's going to get more carries and touches than what people realize. And I think he's going to be okay. And I think that line is still there. That line is still there. So now the guys aren't as good as Nick Chubb. So, and I'm not trying to say that, but that line can still block. And as long as that can happen, and as long as Deshaun Watson can play a little better, my God, I think they're going to be okay. What are my thoughts on Justin Fields blaming the coaches? I thought it was a joke. Look, part of it is the coaching. Let's just be honest. Part of it is the coaching. The Bears organization is a disaster. So part of it is the coaching. But he's played awful. Let's not forget that. He's played awful. I mean, that's a big part of it. So while we say that, oh, man, the coaching's been bad, and it has been, he hasn't helped himself. Not at all. Not at all. So let's move on. My man, Harold Smith, do you think Nico should start? Nope. Don't believe so. Somebody's saying that Oregon hasn't played anybody. No, they haven't. But I don't see what that means, though. Upset special. from my man, Coach K. I mean, Notre Dame is technically an upset. I mean, they're +3 at home. That's who I like this weekend. Yeah. Oh, my K-State Wildcats. Look, K-State is going to be trouble this weekend at home against UCF. It's going to be trouble. Our quarterback's banged up. Our team is banged up in general. So it's going to be tough, but I think we still get a win. And my Louisville Cardinals. Boston College played tough against Florida State. I think that was their Super Bowl. I think Louisville blows out Boston College at home. I think Louisville puts a complete game together, which they haven't done yet, and they blow out Boston College at home. So that's what I think's going on. Iowa beating Penn State, not a coach. You're crazy. Coach, Iowa won't score 14 points, or they won't get more than 14 points. They're not beating Penn State. That's not happening. That's not happening. Nobody take Iowa over Penn State. Nobody do it. Don't do it. Y'all know that they can't score more than 14 points against Penn State. They're not going to score more than 14 points against Penn State. They're not winning that football game. Not winning that. Penn State is going to blow them out. I think Penn State blows them out. So I think that game gets ugly. Somebody asking about fantasy football. What offense will be worse, Raiders or the Steelers? Man, I'm telling you. Here's the only reason why I think the Steelers offense will be better is because the Raiders defense stinks. And I think the Steelers will be able to move the football some. That's the only reason I say that. Other than that, that's it. Yeah. That's the only reason I say that. Both offenses are bad, but the Steelers' defense is really good. And they're going to be good against the Raiders. So, we'll see. We will see. What do we got here? Again, man, everybody, thanks for joining the live Big B Daily Show. Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Central Time. Everybody always come join in. Live on TikTok, live on YouTube. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. And if you're on TikTok and you're in here and you're not following, give me a follow, man. And then come on over and join the chat. Come join Big B Sports Talk. Come subscribe over there and join the chat, man. So, Raiders will destroy the Steelers. That's a delusional Raiders fan for you. Florida State is going to wax Clemson. I think so. If Florida State wants to get their mojo back, here's their chance. Go beat the brakes off of Clemson. Just go beat the brakes off. Clemson is ripe for the picking. You see my flag in the background, Coach? Yeah, it's because my buddy that I grew up with, Micah Shrewsbury, was the head coach at Penn State. But I got a Notre Dame flag now that he's the head coach there. So I got to take that Penn State flag down. But my man, Donnie Maskey, who's a diehard Penn State fan, it always gives me grief every time I say it. Tells me I can leave it up, or I should leave it up. What do y'all think? Because neither of them are my team. But if you grow up with a guy and he's the head coach somewhere, you buy a flag and you put it up in your room. You know what I'm saying? And you root for him. But now that he's not at Penn State any longer, I don't know that I need to keep that Penn State flag up. Leave it up, somebody says. Leave it up. Ugh. I know my man Donnie says leave it up. I don't like it. I don't like it. We'll see. We will see. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Knock it down. There we go. Knock it down. I like that. I like that. Yeah, I think the best game of the day, man, is going to be Ohio State, Notre Dame. I don't like the over-under play, man. No. I'm taking Notre Dame +3. I'm taking Notre Dame +3. Yeah, I think it's going to be high scoring, though. I think it's going to be high scoring, but I don't like it. I don't like that. Do. All right. My man Blake here. Big B, who do you think that will be the next Larry Fitzgerald? That's hard to say. Good question, but it's hard to say because Fitzgerald is kind of a different beast. Fitzgerald was a different beast. So I don't want to say anybody's the next Fitzgerald. I don't want to say that. So let guys just be who they are. Because I don't know that anybody's going to be the next Larry Fitzgerald, to be honest with you. I don't think anybody out there is that good. Not yet, anyway. Not yet, anyway. Steelers fan over on TikTok said, let's tank for Penix. Man, I like Penix as a college quarterback. I'm not sure I like Penix as a pro quarterback. Throws to a lot of wide open receivers deep down the field based on their scheme. I don't know that works all the time in college or in pro football, man. I don't know. Plus, he's got those 2 NFL receivers. So I don't know. And I'm not saying I don't like him. I'm not saying I don't like him. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that always works in pro football. You got 2 NFL receivers. Your scheme in college is you always throw the ball deep down the field. That usually is not what you can do. Matter of fact, I know it isn't what you can do in the NFL. We'll see. We'll see. See him against some better competition this year, throwing into some tighter windows, and then we can see. Again, I'm not saying I don't like him. I'm just saying I'm not sure about that. Joe Q got here late, Big B. Was listening to someone say Oregon was going to win the Pac-12. But my Huskies will have something to say. Now, here I am. I just talked about Michael Penix not being a great pro, but I think Michael Penix is outstanding college quarterback, and I picked Washington to win the Pac-12. I got Washington winning the Pac-12. I do. I think they're the best team in the Pac-12. I think they can play just enough defense to win it. Plus, with Penix and what those guys can do, man, I like them. Ooh, good point over here on TikTok. I was talking about Penix. He said it hadn't worked for any Ohio State QB. See? You got all those good receivers, and the receivers are good, but are the quarterbacks any good? That's what I'm saying, man. It's tricky. It's tricky at the next level. It's tricky. Oregon's better than Washington? I don't think so. But we'll get to the one thing about it, we'll get to see it play out. You know what I'm saying? We'll get to see it play out. Can't wait for your rematch. Go Frogs. Texas Tech that'll be a good game, but K-State and Texas Tech are not the same team from last year. Not even close. Not even close. The next Fitzgerald, does that player have to be in the NFL now? Because I think Jalen McMillan of the Huskies is in the mold of Fitzgerald. I'm not saying they necessarily have to be. I'm just saying I don't like saying who's going to be the next guy like that. Just let them be them. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald is not in the conversation. He is in the top 5 receivers of all time. Of all time. So you're saying somebody's going to come in and be that? No. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. Now you can say they have their game can be patterned around them or something, but I'm not going to say he's going to be the next Larry Fitzgerald because again, Fitzgerald is in the top 5 of the greatest receivers in the history of the NFL. That's just fact. That's just fact. So, TikTok, we're still working, man. We're still working, trying to get to 3,500 likes, 30 follows. We need about 16 more follows. So if you're in here, give me a follow. Keep tapping that screen. And then join the chat over on YouTube, man. Do-do-do-do. Blake asked a question. Hey, Big B, do you think Marvin Harrison will be better than Senior in the pros? That's crazy. Again, a top 10 receiver of all time, and we think that his son is going to be better. Or I guess we're not thinking that, we're asking that question. Let me just ask this. How many times has an all-time great had a offspring that's been better than them? In any sport, how many times has an all-time great had offspring that was better than they were? I mean, Griffey's dad was not an all-time great. So Griffey's dad was not an all-time great. Bobby Bonds is not an all-time great. Y'all got to stop that. Y'all got to stop that. Bobby Bonds was a good baseball player. But when I talk about all-time great, I'm talking about Barry. Well, Bobby Bonds wasn't anywhere close to that. Or Willie Mays. That's what I'm talking about. So I know it's a good question. It's a great question, actually. But how many times has that happened? Any sport. I'm talking about any sport. When has an all-time great player had offspring that was better than they were? Or even just as good? Just as good. You've never seen it. So it's hard to say that he's going to be better. And Marvin Harrison, top 10 conversation for best receiver of all time. So, no, I don't think his son is going to be as good as him. Doesn't mean it can't happen. Somebody just said Ed McCaffrey. Well, everybody please laugh at him over here on TikTok. Ed McCaffrey is an all-time great. I mean, are you serious with that? My goodness. I'm convinced people will say anything. People will say anything just to argue or to try to be right. They will say anything. They will say anything. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Ed McCaffrey. And again, Ed was good, but is Ed even in the conversation of the top 150 wide receivers in NFL history? Probably not. Probably not. Hell, the top 25 receivers that play in the NFL right now are better than what Ed McCaffrey was. So, and Ed McCaffrey was a good receiver too. Not saying he wasn't. He was good. But, gee, many Christmas. Yeah, man. We can give him a timeout. We can give him a timeout. Gee, many Christmas. You missed the question saying that his son is better. That's not what I asked. What I asked was how all-time great, which Ed McCaffrey doesn't qualify for. That's number one. How many times has an all-time great had offspring that were better than they were? Well, Ed McCaffrey doesn't even fit the bill because he's not an all-time great. That's all. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So it's tough on Marvin Harrison Jr. because that's never really happened. So Peyton Manning's dad is not an all-time great. Come on, man. Come on, man. Stop it. Archie Manning is not an all-time great. Archie Manning is not an all-time great. Y'all got to stop. Y'all got to stop. Y'all got to stop. And I know we're reaching. I know we're trying to look for it. Archie Manning is not in that conversation. Ooh, here's a good question. To be better than an all-time great, you have to be what? The GOAT? I don't think you have to be the GOAT. But if we're talking about an all-time great, you got to be in that conversation. You got to be in that conversation. For instance, Ken Griffey Jr. had kids. If they're going to be better, they got to be in that conversation with their dad. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a guy that just played or a guy that was good. You know, my question, all-time great, who's had it? And you can take it down to top 20. Top 20 at any position in any sport. Somebody just said Archie Manning may be the best QB ever. If I could give you a timeout, I would. If I could give you a timeout, I would. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like a Dan Marino or Dan Fouts. Anybody. I'm just waiting for somebody to come up with a name because I think it's good. I think it's a good question. I think it's a great question. But nobody, it just doesn't happen. Now, you've had guys that have played and have been good players, and they've had offspring that are better than they are. But you don't have guys that are at the top of their game and have offspring that get to that point, that same pinnacle. You just don't see that. So I'd be interested to come up with, if anybody could come up with one, but I don't think you can. This is one thing that I've tried to research for years and you can't find it. Question, you just came in TikTok. My bad, man. We're asking a question. Any all-time great, and I mean all-time great, have they ever had any offspring that are as good as them or better? In any sport. In any sport. Joe Q, Blake Babcock, I was better than my dad when I played football, but I'm not searching for glory. You know, I like that. I like that. You know what? I was better than my dad too. I was better than my dad too. God rest his soul. The one thing that I remember, and this is what I think is funny, as growing up as a kid, my dad coached me in basketball. And he used to always talk about this and talk about that and showing me how to do certain things playing basketball. And as we talked about yesterday, in high school, I was a pretty good basketball player. I was good enough to get a Division I scholarship to Xavier. But as I found out, my dad was horrible, not bad, horrible at basketball. And you go back and you look at all the old yearbooks, and I see my dad as, as the captain of the team. But you see all these other people that got action shots and shots in games and stuff like that. I never saw my dad. So I just finally asked a question. I asked my uncle who went to high school with him, my mom, my aunt, because I grew up in Louisville. And in Louisville back in those days, in the 50s and 60s, if you're black, you all basically went to one high school. Yeah, they would say, yeah, your daddy wasn't any good in basketball. I'm like, unbelievable. Unbelievable. All this time, he acts like he's Dr. J, and he couldn't play at all. I'm like, what is going on here? Now, baseball, you couldn't throw a fastball. You couldn't get him out. That's something different. And he went to college to play football. But he coached me a little bit in baseball, did that. But in basketball, and that was the sport that he was the toughest on me on. And my dad wasn't that crazy basketball coach either. He didn't do that. He wasn't the guy that's screaming at people, and he didn't do any of that. But I'm like, man, here's this dude telling me what I'm not doing right. Turns out he could never do it. He could never do it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, man. Like I said, God rest his soul. My dad was a hell of a man, but horrible basketball player. Horrible basketball player. Mm, mm, mm. Somebody over on TikTok said Shador could possibly be in the future. I don't think Shador is ever going to be in the conversation for the greatest football player of all time. And Dion is in that conversation. Now, I'm not saying that he is the best, but I'm saying he's in that conversation. I have him in my top 5. A lot of people have him in the top 10. Shador ain't making that. And that don't even mean he's not going to be great. That doesn't mean he's not going to be great. But it does mean that he's not going to be better than his daddy. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. So here we go. Archie Manning, best QB ever. That's like saying Steve Largent was a. Hold on now. Hold the phone. That's a horrible comparison. That's a horrible comparison. Because while Archie Manning isn't anywhere close to being the greatest quarterback ever, Steve Largent is close to being one of the best receivers ever. Steve Largent's in the top 10 all-time receivers of all time. And if you don't have him in the top 10, you better have him in the top 15 or you don't know football. Or you don't know football. So that is a lousy comparison. Lousy. I get what you're trying to say, but that's a lousy comparison. Because Steve Largent was that dude. And that was back when you could kill a receiver for going over the middle. You could literally kill him, and they didn't even throw a flag. They just scraped you up and went on to the next play. And he did it. So, bad comparison there. Bad comparison. Yeah, like saying Brock Osweiler was Texan savior. Now, there we go. That's a little more like it. That's a little more like it. And Darren Howard, I don't like what you're saying. Most great coaches can't play a lick. Now, watch your mouth, okay? I can talk about my dad not being any good, okay? I can say that. You can't say that. Don't be bad-mouthing Bob Hanley, okay? Don't be bad-mouthing Bob Hanley. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's for me to do. That's for me to do. Well, hey, man, I thank you guys, man. We're going to wrap this one up today. I appreciate y'all joining us on Big B Daily Show, man. Another good one in the books. Another good one in the books. I appreciate everybody that joined and jumped in today, man. Love you guys. We are growing like crazy. We've been at this about a month, and we have grown twofold on TikTok and on YouTube. So trying to get as many people over on the YouTube chat as possible just because it's better. But if you want to stay on TikTok, man, absolutely do. Because I love TikTok just as much. So I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you. Again, TikTok, if you're in the room and you're not following me, please give me a follow and jump on over to Big B Sports Talk. Come subscribe to that channel, man. Love you guys. And you guys have a good one, man. See you next week.